Welcome back to part 2 of the Bastard Review, where I'm reviewing Wrestlemania 15. Next, Shane's history with winning the European title against X-Pac is featured. The reformed DX cut a promo talking about how X-Pac is taking back the title. Pat Patterson and Jerry Briscoe try to attack X-Pac on his way down, but he gets the better of them and beelines it to the ring for Shane, already waiting in the ring. It seems like Shane has an unfair advantage here with Tess by his side and the Mean Street Posse in the front row audience, but X-Pac seems to keep his own through most of the match. Just when things look bad for X-Pac, Hunter and Chyna come down to save the day, but they pull a swerve and both of them turn on X-Pac, allowing Shane to retain the European title and joining the corporation at the same time. Road Dogg and Billy Gunn come down to try to make the save, but they're overwhelmed by Hunter and Test. Finally, Kane's music plays and the ring clears while the New Age Outlaws help out X-Pac. This pretty much puts to rest Degeneration X as a group. While the match wasn't much to watch, the whole storyline, convoluted though it was fun, and Hunter turning on his friends was surprising and entertaining. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Undertaker's past between Vince's corporation and Taker's ministry is profiled. Then it's time for Undertaker to face Big Boss Man in Hell in a Cell. A Hell in a Cell match is pretty much what it sounds like. A cage match with the ceiling. There are no rules. Winning is only by pitfall or submission. Taker came down with Paul Bearer to an awaiting Boss Man in the cell. This was Taker's fourth face Shawn Michaels and Mankind, and then teaming up with Steve Austin to face Kane and Mankind in a tag team Hell in a Cell. The stipulation is rarely used, honestly because it's a logistical nightmare, and this was the single one utilized for 1999. Unfortunately, this match wasn't very high profile, and it felt like Big Boss Man was merely fodder for Taker to keep his 8-0 winning streak. Afterwards, the Brood, made up of Gangrel, Christian, and Edge, came down from the ceiling with a noose that Taker hung Boss Man from to symbolize his domination of the corporate spokesperson. While the ending was shocking and pretty cool, the match itself was really lacking and just didn't do anything for me. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Finally, we come to the main event, Steve Austin versus The Rock in a no disqualification match. They flash back to events that have been building to this match. Austin winning the cage match against Vince at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, facing off against The Big Show on an episode of Raw, and bringing in the Austin Beer Truck to hose down The Rock, Vince, and everyone else in the ring. Jim Ross makes an appearance to announce the match, which made me cheer. Vince comes down to fulfill his referee duties, much to the chagrin of the audience, but to the surprise of everyone, Commissioner Shawn Michaels makes an appearance and gets a massive cheer from the crowd. He cuts a promo saying that according to WWF rules, there's only one person who can appoint official in a match, him. He dismisses Vince from refereeing duties and bars any corporation members from ringside. This match I was immensely looking forward to, and boy did it deliver. Both men immediately took it out into the crowd and off stage and threw each other around. They demolished the Spanish announcer's table, much to my glee, and took out one referee with a chair shot and a second one with a rock bottom. There were a decent amount of near falls and false finishes where you thought the match was over, but both men gave it their all and refused to give up. Vince came down, attacked Steve, then Mankind came down and attacked Vince. The crowd were on their feet when Steve finally became the WWF champion for the third time. This was definitely the highlight of the night. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. While this really didn't feel like what a WrestleMania should be, it did end up being what they usually are. a handful of underwhelming matches, with a couple high-profile ones. It really didn't pick up until the final hour in my eyes. Everything was convoluted and complicated. The corporation felt like the WWF's answer to WCW's NWO group. While it started out as a good idea, everyone was joining in. Before long, you're either in or you're not. This wasn't my favorite WrestleMania, but it wasn't my least favorite either. Overall, I'm giving this pay-per-view a 6 out of 10. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Bastard Review. Tune in next time when I review one of the wrestling DVDs in my collection or anything else that crosses my path. Cheers.